Skinny guys struggle to gain weight because they have been misled, either by the fitness industry with the bodybuilder bros, just eat more bro science approach, which of course doesn't actually produce good results and makes people very unhealthy, or by the health experts in the white lab coats who can't really prescribe the tools that are actually going to fix your skinny problem. So in this video, I am going to transcend both of those schools of thought and give you the exact system that I'm using to help skinny entrepreneurs to gain up to 20 pounds of lean mass in the first 60 to 90 days, okay? And this is an entirely natural approach, no supplements, and in some cases even eating less food than they were prior to starting the program. So if you're not someone who's struggling to gain weight, then this video might not be directly applicable for you, although you're probably going to find the things that I'm about to say very interesting. And now if you are someone that's struggling to gain weight, maybe you've been skinny your whole life, that skinny guy at school, then this video is going to speak to you. This video is directly applicable and you're going to find the things that I say very, very interesting and useful. So let's get started. The first thing I want to show you is some results, okay? I'm not going to spend too long on here, but just to show you guys that I know what I'm talking about, I have very good concrete results, okay? This is not a big idea or a fantasy. This is intangible results which are inarguable, okay? These are all typically 15, 20 pounds gained in the first 3 to 4 months here. 20 pounds in 7 weeks, 24 pounds in 4 months, etc., 15 pounds. And of course, this one was a very nice result as well. So these results really speak for themselves, okay? And I was skinny myself. 4 years ago, I weighed 147 pounds at my lowest. And now I weigh closer to 190. So I know what it takes to gain that kind of weight. And some people in the program, they've called it a cheat code or the secret formula or the formula to gain weight. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. Now I want to quickly touch on why these results are so special, right? What makes these results special? And it's about the speed and the quality of them. Because most people, when they do something, and this applies to anything in life, any kind of work or effort, they either do things quickly, but then they sacrifice the quality, or they do things thoroughly and high quality, but they do it very, very slow. And so why these results are so special is because they are both high quality, meaning healthful, gaining weight in a healthful manner, gaining weight thoroughly in a way that the weight is maintained, it's dense muscle mass that doesn't disappear or vanish when you get sick or anything like that, but the results are also delivered very fast, okay? And when you do something fast and high quality, you have what's called an edge or a competitive advantage. That's what makes something stand out, okay? And that's exactly what this program that I'm going to explain here in this video is, okay? And the approach that I take, it's fast and it produces very good high quality results. So let's go into that a bit more. Let's start by understanding the problem in a bit more detail in the first place. So why do skinny guys struggle to gain weight? Of course, there are many factors. This is multifactorial, but I'm going to explain 3 examples for you here. The first thing I want to talk about is the wrong mental frames which can create a dysfunctional relationship to food, right? So from upbringing or from the environment that a person was raised in, some people, especially skinny guys, they have a weird relationship to food and to eating. Either they just don't like food or they just lack the strength, the desire, the appetite to really transform themselves, right? And what I see is that people are either very stressed and they're very hectic and they're all over the place, which is why they can't gain weight, or other types of people are very retracted from the world. Maybe they have a bit of shyness, very, very picky, things like that, right? And that really holds them back from being able to gain any weight. And with that, I've seen some very funny, interesting eating patterns, right? So I had one client, he was very skinny, very hectic, and skinniness does produce hecticness, by the way. I explain that more later in the video, but he was very hectic and he would go to a restaurant and order a bunch of dishes. He was quite wealthy himself, so that's not out of the ordinary. But he would just take a few bites of each of the dish, you know, and it was very weird watching him eat, right? And in the end, if you actually looked at the total sum of what he ate, it was very little food, right? But in his head, he was eating loads because he ordered 10 different dishes. But that doesn't produce the results that you're looking for. The next point that I'm going to talk about is extremely overlooked, and that is weak digestive function, right? So it's no coincidence that skinny people often have a lot of digestive issues or skin issues, right? And that's because they have a lot of toxins in the digestive tract. And the reason it's so important to address this is because nutrients are all absorbed or primarily absorbed through the digestive system. And so when you have a lot of toxins in the digestive tract, whether that's the lining of the stomach, whether that's in the colon, that's why you struggle to gain weight, because you're not actually able to digest the food just through the amount of toxins that you have dumping in the stomach, for example. And so when you actually address these toxins, you see that the person is finally able to gain weight. And that's where you really need to understand that this is a health issue as well. And this is also the thing that can be triggering lack of appetite, which is also a big problem for skinny guys and can create some of those weird eating patterns that I was talking about. That's primarily from the toxins, or they have an enzyme deficiency there. But I know there's going to be some skinny guys watching this video, maybe you, and you're thinking, oh, I don't have any digestive problem. Oh, I don't have a weird relationship to food. I just can't gain weight. Well, then it might truly be, and I would be very skeptical that that's the case. Most people have a digestion problem they're not really aware of, right? So you don't really know how good you're supposed to feel if you've never felt it. But let's say it's true that you don't have a digestive problem, you don't have a weird relationship to food, you just cannot gain weight because you lack a proper plan and you lack the proper system to gain weight. So let's go into what actually that consists of a little bit more. So what are the common mistakes when people try to execute upon gaining weight, right? When people make a plan or they take actions to gain weight, what are the common mistakes that they do? So let's go into those right here. The first thing is that some people, they actually lack the perspectives that they can gain weight, right? Some people are not aware, like those results I showed you at the start of the video, they're not even aware that they can gain weight. You hear all the time, oh, I'm stuck with my skinniness, my family's skinny, everyone in my family, I've been like this my whole life, there's nothing I can do about it. So some people, they just lack the perspective that it's actually possible to gain that weight. They haven't watched Oscarvore's Instagram story highlights, or they haven't watched this video yet. So some people just lack the perspective that they can actually gain weight. It's very possible for ectomorphs or whomever to gain weight. Now, the second approach, which is very, very common, I see this all the time, is the incorrect approach to gaining weight, right? People, whether it's they do dirty bulking, whether they eat way too many carbohydrates, by the way, and I didn't mention it at the start of the video, but those results that you see, they do not require you to consume any carbohydrates if you don't want to. And they do things like taking synthetic mass gainers, etc., right? And so they try these approaches because, like I was saying in the start, they're misled by the bodybuilders. Even if you Google, like, you know, conventional health advice on how to gain weight, it's really, really bad advice. They're taking the incorrect approach to nutrition, which is going to be the leading factor in you being able to gain weight, is going to be the nutrients. And of course, this approach also leads to having health problems, right? It's very common that skinny guys will develop skin problems when they try the dirty bulking or bulking in general. They develop so many toxins there that they need to address. And when they start to gain weight correctly, which I'm going to explain more about later in the video, they start to feel really, really good, right? Gaining weight should be pleasurable. It should be fun. It should be fairly effortless. And it should be a nice experience. But it's not if you take the incorrect nutritional approach. And then the third point, which extends from the incorrect nutrition, is that they do not improve their digestion. Whether it's dealing with those toxins in the digestive tract, whether it's actually learning about which foods pair together well. If you saw my previous video, I explained food combining, the combination of foods, how that increases the nutrient absorption of the food, increases the digestibility of the food versus decreases it if you combine wrong foods together. If you have certain foods together in a meal, it can actually make the meal indigestible for you. Then you're not actually going to gain weight because you're not digesting the food. So these three things are three of the main areas that I see people making mistakes with. And this ties into, well, why is it actually good to gain weight? And I'm going to explain this a bit more for you guys. So most people think that gaining weight is just about aesthetics, or that's their initial motivation to gain weight. It's a shame for a person to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which their body is capable, right? I really like this quote. So most people are motivated to gain weight for aesthetic reasons. Confidence, they get more looks from girls, etc. And that is a valid reason, right? It can be nice to have those experiences and to have that confidence that comes with gaining weight. Definitely a good motivation. But most people don't understand that there is a health reason to gain weight, right? Primarily driven by toxins. And you have to understand that, and you have to distinguish fitness or aesthetics from health. They're not the same thing. Someone can be very aesthetic but be extremely unhealthy, right? Whereas someone can be very unhealthy but very unaesthetic, actually. Very ugly to look at or very unattractive or whatever. So why is it good to gain weight for health reasons? Let me explain. So it's very necessary for you to have some extra mass on the body, some amount, right? You don't need to be high body fat, but certainly some amount of mass on the body to absorb stored toxins within the body that could otherwise cause the worst health problems that you can think of that I cannot necessarily name in this video. So it's very important to gain some mass there. All animals store toxins in the fat tissue, right? If you have 0% body fat or very low percent body fat, you will be extremely toxic in your organs, in your brain, in your bone marrow, etc. So it's really important for health reasons, for toxins, to be able to gain some weight. And it's not just that, right? Concretely, what do we see in a skinny person? Often they're more hectic, they're more stressed, because they have no buffer against literally anything whatsoever, right? As a result of being skinny, there's no immune system, there's no defenses, there's no physical protection, you have no mass on you. And that's why skinny people instinctively look weak, right? They look vulnerable, they don't look well, because they are literally have no protection, no buffer. And this is why skinny guys are much more prone to health problems than people that have a bit of extra mass on them. I see it all the time, right? I've analyzed hundreds of people's health. Skinny guys are way more prone to allergies, way more prone to digestive problems, and loads of other issues. So there's a real health argument as to why it might be a good idea for someone to gain weight. So you want to be motivated by the aesthetic, but also by the health aspect as well. And hopefully watching my content, you can get some motivation there as well. Next point. what does it actually take to gain weight? So let's go into the formula, right? And as I said, my clients call this a formula. People have called it a cheat code in some of those testimonial interviews. It produces great results, right? So what is this formula? Now let's break it down here. So it might look a bit complicated here, and you could say it is in a way. There's a lot of thinking that goes behind it. You don't have to actually think about it if you were to join my program, but nonetheless, I'm going to explain it for people that want to understand how it works here. So there are 3 parts to being able to gain weight, right? And this is the approach that I take with all the clients. So the first thing I like to do is understanding the individual's personal circumstances, right? So on one side, you have the things like situational challenges. Are they traveling or not a lot? How do they manage those kinds of situations? Do they have certain relationships which are slowing them down in being able to get healthy, to gain weight? So you need to look at those things. But also something that you might not have considered before is the personality requirements of the individual. Do people require more pushing or more comfort? Let me explain that. So some people, you look at them and you think this person really needs a push, right? They need a kind of forcefulness, maybe a stereotypical personal trainer or a boxing coach who is very forceful and he can just force someone to do things, right? Some people need that kind of kick in the ass kind of thing. Or some people actually need to slow down a lot and they need something to taste nice. They need to baby steps and do things very slowly, right? So you need to look at the individual personality of the person and cater to that, exactly what they require, where they're at currently. And most people or most entrepreneurs that I work with are very push, but they have no comfort. So if you push hard, it's like the Biggest Loser TV show where they put people in circumstances which are drastically different from what they're used to so they can get some results in the first 4 or 8 weeks, but after that, they lose all of their results, right? Because they're pushed hard, but they really lack the comfort, which makes things unsustainable, right? So you need to balance pushing and comfort, and each individual person requires more or less of one of these 2 things, right? So that's something you can consider. And this requires an unusual degree of self-awareness, which, is unusual, as I say, it's not common, but you can certainly make some progress in seeing it with what I'm describing here. So the first thing is, do you need more push or more comfort, right? And that's how you're going to get maintained results over time. Sustained results. Then you want to look at how do you gradually remove toxins from the body, right? So as I was explaining, all skinny guys, in my experience, every single one has a lot of toxicity in the stomach, okay? And it's a spectrum. Some people have so much toxicity, some people have a bit, but this is going to get in the way of you being able to gain weight. So you really want to look at how can you gradually remove toxins, right? And there's really 3 steps to detoxification that I'm going to explain here. The first part is how do you limit toxins from outside of the body, right? So here in my program, for example, you can try and do this yourself. You can do a home and lifestyle audit, right? So you eliminate as many toxins which is practical to eliminate from your house, from all the utensils that you're using, etc., from all of the products that you use, of course, all of the food, from your lifestyle as well. You want to limit the amount of new toxins coming in. Otherwise, if you're removing toxins, but there's constantly toxins coming in, it's like a bathtub where there's water going in, but it's also running out. It's not effective, right? So how do you gradually remove toxins from outside of the body? The next point is how do you detox through existing pathways, right? So your body has these mechanisms to remove toxins via the skin, in the organs, other orifices, etc. So your body has these pathways. Now you want to facilitate that. So how do you go about gradually facilitating that with, for example, correct nutrition? And then the last point of detox is how do you accelerate the detoxification process? And this could be certain protocols, heat therapies, food-based supplementation, other things that you can use to accelerate the process, right? And you always, when you're detoxing, you want to, and I can make a whole separate video just about this, but you always want to be detoxing with the limited symptoms, right? So this is a whole spectrum from someone that is not detoxing at all to someone that is aggressively detoxing. This person will have no detox symptoms. This person's going to have loads of detox symptoms. So I like to do things around here, right? I don't want to impose a lot of detox symptoms on the person because, like I was saying earlier, it becomes unsustainable because there's no comfort in that. So you want to troubleshoot always to detox gradually with minimal amount of symptoms. It's very important. Otherwise, you're not going to have a nice experience. As I was explaining here, right? If you push with no comfort, something is unsustainable. So it's important when you're detoxing that you want to do things gradually. I like to do things just about over here. Then we have the actual Nutrify part, right? Nutrify, which is a real word meaning to supply nutrients. How do you Nutrify yourself? And so this is going to be the 5 pillars of perfect nutrition. I made a separate video about that previously. I'll link that in the description of this video if you want to learn more, or I break it down in tremendous detail. And so you want to really nail down the diet. It's really, really important. If you do not dial in on the diet, you're never going to make good progress, which is sustained and healthful. Then you want to fix digestive dysbiosis, okay? So like I was saying, everyone has a lot of toxins in the stomach lining. Big part of why you can't gain weight is if you cannot absorb the nutrients properly, you will struggle to gain weight. So you need to address this as well. That's in the nutrient part. This is done through, actually, the best ways to do that is, for example, things like increasing bacteria, etc. So lots of other tools that you can use to improve your digestion, and that's going to help you to be able to gain weight. So this is the entire process. And I say, it can be a bit overwhelming. Definitely is to figure out by yourself, right? This is why people really value my services. And just to explain a little bit about that, right? The things that I cover in the program is that, one, we're going to design a plan that's going to factor in all of these elements for you, right? You don't have to think about any of this stuff. We do all of the thinking for you. So on your job, you just need to execute. So that's going to include what to eat, how to eat the food, the timing of the food, etc. The 5 pillars in great detail. We're going to source all of these foods for you so you have everything that you need, all the foods, all the other health products that you might need. That can include also the gym training stuff as well. And we're going to give you all of the hacks that you need and overall just explain the process, right? And give you the push and the comfort that you actually need to be able to make this kind of transformation. It's going to save you so much time and save you from making a colossal amount of mistakes, which do have a cost to your health. They're going to harm your health. So now, for making it to the end of this video, congratulations to you. I can give you a special offer that if you are a skinny guy who is watching this, someone that is underweight, and you want to gain at least 10 pounds, I can say that you can join our program, and if you do not gain 10 pounds in the first 3 months, then you can continue the one-on-one coaching for no extra cost to you until you do gain that weight. As I said, I know what it takes to gain this weight. I have the results to show for it. I make it as simple as it needs to be for you, as comfortable and as much pushing as you need, as well balanced with the comfort, like I said, and you just have to have the motivation to do it, and of course the financial means. So if that's interesting for you, you can apply in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, God bless you, and see you next time.